I a lot of times just don't. Oh,
On sale.
it's on sale
And has a label.
for $119, and it comes with a ladle. Oh, that's great. Normally $149 in this, starting February 15th. I should read things more. Once again, the reason I have Audra on my team is because she reads everything. I don't. I read nothing. Okay, so those Instapot people, Instapots are great, but have you ever, I don't know, like maybe you have a crock pot, the outside of the crock pot, how it gets all kind of, yeah, that's what I imagine the Instapot's going to get like, because it can't go in the dishwasher. So my favorite thing about the pressure cooker is it can go in the dishwasher, and that's kind of a big deal to me. It's got the seal, this seal here. The seal comes off, put it in the dishwasher, and comes out clean, looks brand new, and away we go, and there goes the instructions. So I really like that. I will say, if somebody says, I have 15 kids, then you're either gonna have to do 2 batches in this, or the Instapot does do more. So, right, I mean, everything has pluses and minuses. I don't get into arguing matches with people when it comes to yours has your things and mine has mine. Now, what do I cook the most in this? I have a couple recipes that I love. One, our mac and cheese. And anybody that's tried my mac and cheese knows it's the bomb, right? It is totally the bomb. We have people shaking their heads that have tried it because it is so good. The next thing that I do, and I do this once a week, I buy pork. And you can buy a pork tenderloin, you can buy a pork roast, doesn't really matter. I take the pork, chop it into big chunks, throw it in here, and I've done this with several different salsas, but my favorite, okay, this is going to sound funny, is paste picante sauce. You know that jar of the really kind of $2.49 stuff? I've used really expensive salsas, but I found that this is the best. Pour a jar of paste picante, and then fill the jar. You can either use water or chicken broth, just to kind of rinse out the jar, and put it in there so that your meat is swimming in lots of nice fluid. I put it in for 40 minutes is what it usually takes, is 40 minutes. I know they say 30 minutes, so put it in for 30, take it out. Don't look at, you can't open it, just take it out for a second, wipe the moisture out of your microwave, I guess, put it back in for 10 more minutes. I just find that 40 minutes tends to be enough. If you guys know my quick release trick, you don't want to do that with the pork. And the reason is because that release of pressure, that slow release of pressure, is what makes it more tender. Okay? So you kind of want that pressure to release slowly. Wait for the little yellow pressure valve to go all the way down. Kirsten Jones, wait for the little pressure valve to go all the way down. And why? Because it's on the mac and cheese, it doesn't matter, but on the pork and anything that you want to shred really tender, it does something, that slow release of pressure. It's like when you marinade, there's these marinators that do the open the meat and close it so that it sucks the marinade in. It's a seal a meal kind of thing. It kind of does the same thing. So this is the one time you really want it to slow release. Take your pork out, and then you can either, I wish they still had it. You can do it in a Power Chef, but if you have a Quick Chef, I take my pork out and I chop it all up, either in a Power Chef or a Quick Chef, because I like it shredded. You shred that pork and then you put it on tacos. Or you make shredded pork nachos. Super good with that pork all over nachos. And that paste picante, I don't know what it is, but the paste made it have this extra yummy flavor. So that, we do that at least once a week. Then my newest, there is this Hawaiian barbecue sauce. And if you shop at Fred Meyer, don't get the, it's not the Fred Meyer on 164th. It's in like the Asian food stuff, but it's a Hawaiian barbecue sauce. It's $9.72 a jar. So it is an expensive jar of barbecue sauce, but it is delightful. So we take the pork, I chopped it all up, put it in here, and then I took just half the jar of barbecue sauce and put it on there, and then use broth, okay? So your pork's kind of swimming in that Hawaiian barbecue sauce and the broth. Same thing, cook it the same way in the microwave, take it out, 40 minutes. I find that the chunks of pork are 40 minutes. If you chop your pork up a lot smaller, you're probably going to do 30 minutes and be just fine. Now you could use chicken for this as well, and chicken would be just as good. Take it out, pull it out of the broth, chop it all up, and then add more of that Hawaiian barbecue sauce and put it on the rolls. There are several different Hawaiian barbecue sauces. What's the main barbecue sauce that comes in the bottle? The white with the label, but it's not the same. You need this one Hawaiian barbecue sauce. You can use the cheaper one, but I'm telling you, this $9.72 barbecue sauce, oh, it's delicious. King's Hawaiian Rolls makes a barbecue sauce that Fred Meyer doesn't sell anymore. That's really good too, if you can find that one, and that one's a lot cheaper, but Fred Meyer doesn't carry it any longer. So we've been doing Hawaiian barbecue pork sandwiches. I do the pork with the salsa. I make mac and cheese in it. I do the chicken in it. Pork chops. I love pork chops, but to me, pork chops are dry, no matter what I do. I have soaked them in milk, because that's the one thing they say to do. I have marinated them. I've done everything with pork chops, and I find no way that makes them tender. So I'll put my pork and chicken broth in here, cook them for about 20 minutes. Let it release, and then I go and I put them with my cream of mushroom soup and back in the oven, or I grill them or whatever, and they're not dry. Like, I love pork chops and cream of mushroom soup in the oven. It's one of my favorite things, but the pork chops, no matter what, end up dry. If I start them in here, they don't. Ribs, before I put them on the grill, I'll put ribs in here. Now, when I do the ribs in here before I put them on the grill, it's going to cook like 4 ribs at a time. So I have to do multiple batches, but you only need to go like 15 minutes with ribs, because you're still going to go out and put them on the grill. And you don't, if you put them in here too long, then the ribs are going to fall off and you're going to end up with meat down in your grill, right? So you don't want to do them too long, because it does make everything super tender. Yeah, but it's at least 3 times a week I'm making something in my pressure cooker, and it looks still beautiful. And I will tell you that this seal, it will smell like whatever garlic or whatever, if you do a lot of garlics and stuff. Oh, the peanut butter cake. We have a recording of that somewhere. Reese's peanut butter in it. That was were you guys here for that? Oh, it was so good. So you can do a cake in the pressure cooker, and that was to die for cake. So, okay.
Yay.
Yay!
Yeah.
When you just take it out, it'll just, the pressure will fall on its own, and you just wait.
Yeah, so when you take it.
No.
I actually,
Oh, okay.
I've never used it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, like
Jablonski. Okay, so here's your.
Okay, so here's your challenge. Okay, everybody in the room, raise your hand if you have a pressure cooker. Raise your hand if you own a pressure cooker. If you don't, fix that problem. But the rest of you, your job tonight is, we're gonna make a post. Janelle's gonna make a post right now. No, I mean, you can talk. Well, she can say it out loud in a second. I want you to all make something in the pressure cooker tonight, and on the post, I want you to send a comment with a picture of what you made in the recipe.
It's super easy, guys. What do you have to go buy?
Say that out loud.
Okay, so we're going to do a challenge. Janelle's going to post on Rock On this pressure cooker challenge.
Stephanie hates it when I do this too.
I love this. I like watching her. Janelle's good at this, though. She squirrels, so she can handle it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so somebody's going to make a post on Rock On. Janie's going to. And your challenge tonight is to go make something in the pressure cooker and post a picture of it. And then Kirsten's going to do
I want you to comment on the post with a picture.
Comment on the post with a picture.
And the recipe.
And the recipe.
And what you felt about it. Like, give us some data. And then I'll run some, and number your posts.
Number your posts.
I'll do randomized. That's so much easier for me than having to go through and get everybody's name. This has made, I'm much faster at drawings, if you notice.
So those online, make sure you're numbering your posts. Pay attention to the posts up above. Like, look up for a second and kind of pay attention to the numbers so Janelle doesn't have to fix them as best as you can.
Do they have to be watching this meeting live to be in on that challenge?
Nope. Anybody can be in on the challenge. So what do you have? So easily, guys, you're going, oh, tonight I have to do this. Run to the grocery store. Pick up 4 chicken breasts, a can of Pace Picante salsa, and some flour tortilla shells. I mean,
or go find something you have in your,
right. It's not hard. Okay. So what you need to do, there are some fill lines in here. There is a max fill line. Okay. So you're going to put your chopped up whatever it is in here, your pork, your chicken, or whatever. And I would say chop it into chunks. It does not frozen either.
It doesn't.
Sorry. Frozen, put it in here. I'm just gonna say we're gonna do this salsa pork because that's in my head. Put your salsa in here, put your liquid in. No higher than the max fill line. If your meat is above the liquid, your meat will burn on the top. Okay, so make sure it's all underneath whatever liquid it is, because you will get burned parts. It doesn't hurt anything, but it doesn't shred as well either. Your lid. You should take your rubber seal, make sure it is inside here, okay? So nice and inside. Make sure this rubber seal is here, that it's intact, okay? Because this is a pressure release valve. This little thing here, make sure that this little yellow thing it should have the line on the bottom, the little pokey on the top, because I've seen people have it upside down.
I didn't have to put mine in, so.
No, but it does come out, and so you got to make sure that if you've taken it out or if it came out or something, I'm going to clarify very clearly, just make sure that this is up.
It shouldn't come out.
It shouldn't come out. Okay, will you hold this?
Yes. There's arrows too.
Yeah, I know. So there's an arrow here and there's an arrow here. You will line these two arrows up and then hold it like this. And then you'll twist it to lock and then you'll lock this handle down. Okay? Then it's locked. It's not going anywhere, you guys. As it cooks in the microwave, you're going to see steam come out of here. Not Steve. Steve's probably not around.
I want to see Steve come out.
Steve's not come out of your pressure cooker unless maybe your chicken was named Steve. Okay, squirrel.
That's terrible. I can't say that. We don't name our chicken.
This little yellow thing is going to come up. It's going to kind of do this. Remember the old pressure cookers that had the metal thing? This is going to do the same thing. And then you're going to take it out of your microwave.
Shoot off and take your eye out.
No.
Like your mom's would have.
Yeah.
I was terrified of going in the kitchen with my mom because that thing was going like that and at one time hit the ceiling. I'm just saying.
Then you'll take it out of the microwave. You'll wait for this yellow thing to go all the way down.
Good idea.
Then you'll lift the handle.
I struggle with it.
And turn, and your stuff is
So
done.
I will tell you don't have to be afraid of this because there's like 3 different safety valves in here that like basically it can't explode on you. I know that's a legit fear is that people are worried about it exploding. They've built like 3 different fail safes of things that will basically collapse before it'll explode. It's not going to hurt you. Now, I mean, don't stick your face over it when you take the lid off. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Can't fix it.
They do say 30 minutes max in the microwave. And I'm going to tell you my experience is that my microwave gets really full of steam. So I'm not sure if it's a microwave thing or if it's a pressure cooker thing. So I will go 30 minutes, take it out. I kind of wipe the moisture out of my microwave and then I put it back in for the remaining 10 minutes. If you chop your chunks really small, you're going to get 30 minutes is going to be plenty of time.
For what? For your
pork or your chicken or whatever it is.
Longer than 30 minutes.
It depends on how big your chunks are and how lazy you are at cutting it up.
I did big, huge ones, but maybe it's because my microwave is more higher wattage.
Oh, mine's brand new.
Yeah, but it's not about brand new. It's about wattage. Like there's different levels of how intense they cook. And because mine's new too, it came with my house.
Oh.
But I've never had to cook anything longer than 30 minutes. So maybe it may be a wattage thing with how powerful your microwave is too.
Yeah. And you can do 30 minutes, take it out, let it go down, open it up, check your pork. If it doesn't seem quite enough, then you can put it back in for another 10 minutes. It doesn't hurt anything. I've also shredded all my pork, put it back in, put the lid down and put it back in the microwave for like 5 minutes just to get the juices and stuff into the shredded stuff because it adds a little bit more moisture. Yeah, I mean a little bit more because now the inside of the pork doesn't necessarily have the salsa or the sauce inside of it or the whatever. And so I've shredded it all, put it back in and then put it back in the microwave and let it do what, you can do that as well. So there's all kinds of different, you have to play with it. I play with it. I do not read recipes or instructions, as you have probably heard from me right here.
For people who don't like recipes though, because you can just put meat in.
You can do,
in whatever.
I've seen people put, basically make stew-ish, they just throw all the ingredients and some ramen and some other things in that they have, and they cook it. I'm just saying, I've seen pictures. It looks a little like dog vomit, but, what else?
Be prepared tonight.
I sometimes look at pictures and go, I probably wouldn't have posted that. It's not real appetizing. But.
The cool thing about a stew, if you do like not a beef stew, but like I can buy that really cheap steak meat, you know, the stuff that's so tough, it is just tough, the chunks. I can put that in here with carrots and celery and onions and beef broth, and I can make a really good beef stew in 30 minutes. It's super tender, and it's weird. My celery and my carrots don't get mushy. The other cool thing is you can take your mandolin, and if you don't know how to make cubes, go read how to make cubed potatoes with your mandolin, and you can cube your potatoes and add cubed potatoes and your beef and your carrots and your celery and your beef broth. Once again, remember, there's no recipe here. We're just throwing this stuff in there and make an amazing beef stew for your family tonight.
But I want pictures. So Janie's going to make a post.
I did.
Or Janie did make a post, and I want pictures. And then I will run, and it's for dinner tonight, right? So some of you guys are for dinner than some of us. Some of us. Yeah. But I want, that's your task today, and I'm going to run randomizer, because here's the thing.
I needed another one.
You're never going to try it if I don't just make you do it tonight. I know how this works. I just know, I know this game. I've played this game before, and I know how you lose. Right? So I'm going to make you win. I want you to just go do it. I would say, so something that I do in the winter time, and it's kind of going to sound a little bit strange, but it's really, really good. So I'm just going to give it to you. Does any of you guys, I have a Blendtec blender. Does anybody have like a Mammoth blender, like a Ninja or a Vitamix or there's a handful of different really, really good blenders. They'll like make soup basically, right? So I'm going to give you something that you can do. I do this in the winter time. I used to do this on the stove, but there's no reason to do it on the stove. It'd be much easier and less work. It's always nice when you can put in microwave, walk away, because the stove, you can't, you really shouldn't walk away for, it's just bad. I'm just going to say that. It's kind of like walking away from a batch of cookies. It just ends bad. So you can put a bunch of things into the crock pot like this. So you can do some chicken broth, a couple chunks of cheese. I know that's going to sound a little bit weird. Some potatoes, a bunch of vegetables that you wouldn't necessarily eat or your kids won't normally eat, like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, things like that. You can peel some tomatoes and stick them in there. You can, I know that's going to sound kind of strange, but a lot of vegetables. And I put them in, I usually use chicken broth because that adds just a little bit of flavor and a little bit of salt, basically. And the cheese is always amazing. If you're vegan or whatever, you can take the cheese out. But that's all I'm going to say. The pressure cooker, and I cook it for, usually I do potatoes, I cube them so they're in there. You don't need 30 minutes because there's no meat in it. More like 20 is probably 15, 20 is fine. Probably 20. And it kind of depends on what I'm putting in there and like the structure of like whatever. And you're basically cooking it to death, whatever's in there. And then you take it out and you pour it into your Blendtec or your Vitamix or your Ninja, and you blend it, and it makes the best soup. And in the winter time, and the tomato's kind of nice because it's for color. Because if you do like broccoli and it's green and it looks a little, it tastes delicious. And my husband will eat it and loves it. I usually buy some, I got this idea because I went to Teatro Zanzani, and they always have these wild soups where I would never eat any. I think carrot soup, squash soup, ooh, I don't like, but it's cream, like it's purified, right? So it doesn't, cream cheese. Yes, it's like, it's so creamy that it's okay. And I buy, what are those, pine nuts? And I sprinkle some pine nuts on the top, and that's the perfect texture. That's what they did at Teatro Zanzani. And so I decided, I wonder if I can make, and I threw all these vegetables in that I'm just going to tell you I would struggle eating. Like, and my family would struggle eating. They don't know any different, and it doesn't taste like that. But it's all the vegetables are in and it's literally just basically a pile of vegetables that you have to cook it to death. And I like the potato, I like to put potato in because I like the texture that potato adds to it. But I always add a chunk of cheese it doesn't really matter what cheese, whatever you got, and you take a block of something. I mean, I just cut a couple chunks and stick it in there. It is so good. You just have to have a blender or an immersion, before I had my nice blender, I had one of those immersion blenders that you stick in and handheld and do it. You can do it with that too. It's a little bit more painful on your hand, but so highly recommend that too. Really easy, and it's so much easier to do with the pressure cooker than it was on the stove. I just did it on the stove for years, but I would do this a lot in the winter time, and I would just add that soup to whatever we were having for dinner, like as a starter soup.
and we were getting all kinds of vegetables in our meal, like in a hidden way. Because frankly, that's the struggle for most of us, right? Is adding the vegetable to the meal. I don't really want to. And if you have vegetables that are, so you know when you have vegetables that are still okay, but barely, you don't really want to make them. There's this emotional, you look at them and go, I could probably, if I cook them tonight, I could probably use them, but I don't really want to. I don't look that up. They're not dead yet, but they're getting close. They go great in this. I'm just saying, because you don't care anymore what it looks like. You know, I think it's kind of like, it's not brown yet, but it doesn't look that great, you know? And if I use it tonight, well, use it tonight, make soup. You don't really have to have, I don't even have chicken broth. I use bouillon cubes, or better, actually used to use bouillon cubes. Now I buy that better than bouillon.
Jar that you refrigerate.
Yes, at Costco.
Good flavor.
That's really, really good flavor, and I feel like it's even a little more natural than a bouillon. So I don't buy chicken broth because I find it to be really, really, really like a salt lick is what it feels like to me. Like it's just so much salt, and this I feel like is good flavor. So that's what I use. I just boil some hot water and stick some bouillon. There's better than bouillon, and stir it, and I have chicken broth basically. So that's my 2 cents to you. In addition to whatever meal you make, I would highly recommend. It's a great thing to just go in. I don't ever put meat in it. So for me, it's just a vegetable soup basically, but it's basically cream of broccoli, cream of cauliflower, but it always has a little potato and a little cheese in it and whatever. And you can just put whatever and play with it. I always put some garlic cloves in there, and you don't have to cut them up because you're going to blend it, remember? So
A little bit higher.
Here?
You're too low enough.
Oh, is that it? Well, I'm not going to speak what else that says, but okay. So that's a great way to get your vegetables and use your products. And think about and I guess I just want you to think outside the box. We get so hung up on, I can only do this with this, right? I can only, like, think about stuff like that. Like, cook in your kitchen. Like, feed your family healthy food. Like, and that's really good leftover. You just throw in some vet and serve, and then you have some soup and it's winter time. It's cold. It doesn't, I mean, unless you're in like Florida or something, but even then it just feels good in the winter time to eat soup, I think, right? So I would totally say the pressure cooker is a great, you do that, you fall in love with it, you start posting pictures. Look at what I made today. Look at what I did today. Look what I did today. You just need a good blender to do that. So if you don't have a Ninja and you can't afford it, or a Blendtec or a Vitamix, buy yourself an immersion blender, because you can get those for, I think, what, $20 or like they're pretty cheap. I would say buy yourself one, get a starter version of it and try it. And then what else was I going to tell you? What I think about that? And don't get hung up on only cooking meats and things. Like, I make chili in ours all the time I made it 2 nights ago because I'm getting ready to travel to go to leadership, and my family does better when I have food so I made homemade split pea soup, and I did chocolate chili, and the chocolate chili is cocoa powder, so it's not sweet. Use cocoa powder, and my boys lose their minds over it. They love it. I'm pretty sure the recipe is on the team page. I think I put it on there at least once. If I haven't, somebody let me know and I can post it. So I can dump all the ingredients in. I cook the meat outside of, I do put meat in it because they like protein. I cook it in the stack cooker first and put it in so it's low fat. You can cook it in there. You just are going to eat the grease too. And they don't think they need that. They don't think their arteries need it. So, I mean, so I cook it in the stack cooker first. I cook the meat first while I'm dumping the ingredients into the pressure cooker. And then I just dump the meat in and put it in the microwave for 30 minutes, and it's the easiest thing. And I just took it out, put it straight in a vent and serves, and put it in the freezer, and it's there for when I'm gone later this week. So just don't get hung up on, I can only do this with this, right? Like, start thinking outside the box with things, because when you fall in love with stuff, and then post pictures, show what you're doing. People, look at what I made for dinner in my pressure cooker, my Tupperware pressure cooker tonight. That doesn't have to say, now buy it here from me. You don't even have to say that. People will say, I've watched you post 4 or 5 things from that now, and I'm kind of intrigued by it. Tell me more. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you can't say that. I'm saying if you don't always say, buy it from me here, buy it from me here, people will watch you and they will ask. And if it doesn't feel like a sales post, it just says, look at what I did. I just made rice for the first time in my smart multi-cooker. Did you see me do that the other night? Only because everybody's asked me for like 18 gazillion years. And I was like, fine, I should make rice. And I did it. It was kind of amazing, actually. And I never make rice. So I used to years ago and I don't anymore. But I was making an Asian recipe because my husband was having friends over and whiskey tasting. And he read that meatballs are great with whiskey tasting. What? So he said I needed to make meatballs. And I was like, okay. So I made Asian meatballs. Random, I realized. But to go with the meatballs, the Asian meatballs with the teriyaki sauce, I made rice and then I stir fried it. So I found a recipe that was so good, by the way, of the best copycat of Benihana stir rice, fried rice, because I think theirs is the best. So I made I took that rice in a wok, made chicken fried rice, and it was so good. So we had Asian meatballs with, and he had a lot of whiskey, like, and the other hand was drinking red wine. But I mean, it was really good. So, but it forced me to try. I was like, I'm going to pull that thing out and force myself to try it, and I did. 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of water. I didn't follow the instructions. I'm just going to tell you. Because I looked at it and it was in milliliters, plus it irritated me, plus I decided I just was going to do it my own way. That's how I cook. Right there. I did 2 cups, and I decided I would try it and then add more if I needed. 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of water, and I did, how many minutes did I say I did on high? However many it said to do. I did do 8 minutes, 9 minutes, something like
5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't know. I did it all on high. I posted it. So it's not very far down my feed. So if you go down my feed and just look, and I just said, look at in this, I think it was like 8 minutes or 9 minutes on high. It came out perfect. And it was arboro rice.
Really yummy. Right?
That arborio rice. It's actually, I like it better than, it's a little bit fatter.
So yummy.
Is that what it is, creamer? I find that I like it better.
When it releases its starch is different. It gets creamier. That's the kind of rice that they use for risotto.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I have it, because I use HelloFresh a lot, and I buy extra ingredients of some of the things I know they're going to have, because like risotto, when it calls for risotto, my boys always eat like twice the amount that HelloFresh sends me. And so I go get like couscous and rice and things that I know if it's going to, and I'll just make a double batch of it. So I have it. And that's the rice it told me to have. And that was the only rice I had in the house. And I was like, we're going to have this rice. And I was like, I like this rice. So, okay. So I cooked it on high for 9 minutes, let it rest for 5. Came out perfect, like totally perfect. I did not do all the fancy 5 minutes and then 10 minutes. I was like, oh, that's too much work. 9 minutes. I was like, if I burn it, I'll do another batch. I got lots of rice. And I didn't have any problems. Huh? It's really good. Highly recommend it. If you haven't tried it, way better than white rice or brown rice. It's just the textures. See, yeah, Heather's going, It's really good. It made fried rice. I have a picture of the fried rice. I cooked up some chicken and cubed it and cooked the chicken in garlic butter and then threw the chicken into, because that's what Benihana's does. No, I bought it at the regular grocery store. It came in like a plastic little square, kind of those with the screw-on lid. Super good. Highly recommend trying it. But it was 2 minutes on, 2 minutes. Perfect. So. Arborio rice. It's white, but it's a little. It's a. I recommend it. So if you're making dinner in your pressure cooker tonight, you can take your